Ok, donc c'est parti, hein. Yay! Hello guys, can you hear me? We maybe have a little delay. Okay, yeah, we have a delay. It's okay, I'll just have to be patient and wait for you. Okay, let's see and wait for the other ones. The last one surviving to pop in. So we are 4. Okay, I think we're not all here. Wait, it's supposed to be here. Okay. Okay. No, not Spotify. Here we go. So, I'm gonna start. I think we missed Venom, and the other, I don't know if they're gonna join. So, I'm just gonna start, and like I said, if stars align, you'll be able to. Oh, yeah, great. You'll be able to rewatch this. But yeah, I highly recommend you to take notes, make some scribbles if you feel like it, and yeah, I hope you enjoy this workout. If I talk too fast, please yell. I mean, write in all caps in the chat, and I'll try to slow down. Keep in mind that there's a delay with when I speak and when you're actually hearing me, so it's gonna be a little wonky maybe, but so I'm glad we're able to meet up here. Welcome and thank you for joining. And so if everyone's ready, we can start. So today we're gonna talk about settings and how to create a full illustration that is not only pretty but also meaningful. And to add a little challenge, we're gonna do that with the mysterious but all-powerful CinemaScope format. Okay, so first off, what is CinemaScope format? If you ever watched a Sergio Leone movie, you'll know what I'm talking about. The CinemaScope he uses is a little tweaked, but you get the idea. So basically, maybe no one saw a Sergio Leone movie, but I think Jurassic World, Fallen Kingdom, and Deadpool 2 were filmed in CinemaScope recently, but I haven't seen those. So we're just gonna have to trust Wikipedia on this one. So CinemaScope format, what it is, what does it do? It's that. It's the one on the left. No, right. Sorry, don't know my left from right. So CinemaScope is an anamorphic lens allowing the image to be expanded horizontally. The ratio for it can vary, but in this workshop we're going to work with the 2.35:1 ratio, which is one of the most widely known. So here's what it looks like, because let's be honest, it's a little too much numbers and maths for us, but basically it means that if the length of the picture is 2.35, the 8 is 1. So 2.35 and 8. 1 in 8. And yes, you will need a calculator for this. So there we have the basic format, so you can see what it looks like. So for drawer, painter, and everyone, used to the reassuring letter or A4 format and all the variants we're used to, like square and all that jazz. CinemaScope can be hard to handle. I know some sketchbook have some sort of elongated landscape, so I highly recommend you get one of those and fill the page with one single illustration, not a series of crappy scribbles, tiny thingies. You just full organized illustration. Yes, it's way easier, well, sort of, to use when working on digital, because in traditional you will need a pretty big piece of paper if you want to have at least some room vertically. Okay, do you have any question about the CinemaScope format? I'm gonna wait like 1 minute, 30 seconds to see if any question pops in the chat, and then move on. So there may be a silence. I'm not gonna sing, or we are gonna have copyright infringement, so CinemaScope is what is on screen. It's the it's a lens that makes the possible to expand the image, so it's sort of distort the image. Sure. No, it's just a format. It's just a format. You can totally use it for free. Someone came up with it, but it's like a letter format or A4 or anything in between, like square, whatever. It allows a particular. It gives a particular role to the landscape. I have discovered that during the workshop I did with John Ho, if anyone knows him. Okay, so now that we've cleared the matter of what the heck is CinemaScope, let's move on to the goal of this workshop, which is to give you tips and tricks to help you create complete illustration related to one of your character and help you share a message about the story, their goals, their fears, their ridiculous habits like buying pink rabbits. And you may think, why using CinemaScope for this? Well, it's what I learned a lot using CinemaScope in one of my workshop, and I think it's really challenging as visual artists to grow with challenge. So yeah, I'm a little bummed we don't have the comment for the growth tag on the YouTube chat, but anyway, moving on. So the idea of this whole thingy is to one, include a narrative logic in their artwork so that your image is actually telling something about the story that is happening and the ambience and atmosphere of your world. So the story, it's like we are all writing, so the story, it's what is happening to your character at that moment you're trying to capture in this image, and the ambience and atmosphere of your world. I'm gonna do a slide at the end about that, so we'll go back to that later. B, you also want to include an implicit narration about what happened to the characters, what led them here, and makes the viewer want to know more about what happened to the character and why they should care about what happened to the character. So it comes before what you're trying to draw in the picture. And you also, yeah, that's a lot of stuff, but you also want to give hints about what is gonna happen, so some kind of foreshadowing. So, and all of this in the freaking CinemaScope format. So technically, when you've reached this point, you already have a really good idea of who your character is and how they look like. We did a workshop about this last month, so if you weren't here, I'm sorry. But yeah, ideally you've come up with a partner or companion, like an animal, a robot, or anything, like a speaking cup or an extension of his consciousness. And all the designs are cohesive and enhance each other. You can also pants your way through and add details as you go, but you're gonna need more than one try to get to a result. So yeah, well, John, well, you were there to my last workshop, so you can come up with a character. Okay, so my first tip is, oops, never a failure, always a lesson. Get messy, try, experiment, enjoy, have fun, no pressure. Your first scribbles might be ugly and wrong, but don't throw them away. Learn from them, keep what works. Work on what doesn't work. Try to know why it doesn't work. This phase is about brainstorming, and so try not to use words to get your idea on paper. The idea is to draw, explore, go outside that having comfort zone, and be bold, be ambitious. Because if it doesn't work out, it's okay, because what matters is that you're learning. So, there we go. Pep talk is done. Moving on. I'm just gonna go straight with the tip number 2. If you have questions, I'll stop and answer them as they pop, because this delay is kind of a bother, so. Tip number 2, clarity is your friend, my friends. So, for those who have done my character design workshop, you know I've bragged about keeping it simple. So here you have a little more room, but for the sake of the viewers, keep it simple. You want to be able to add all the details, so work out so hard, and you want it to be to add all the details, so you worked super hard on the previous phase, and now you're gonna be brave and kill your darling. I know it hurts, and you're gonna tell me, why did I waste my time? Why designing those details if they're not gonna make it into the final work? Well, they help you shape and flesh out the character. You know them better, and trust me, my friend, you will use these details someday. So yeah, keep it simple. Focus on what is important into your for your illustration. Think about the points I mentioned earlier. What you really want to do with the illustration. If it doesn't serve the story you're gonna tell, then just get rid of the detail. Okay, now on to more concrete and practical tips. I have 3 basic tips to help you start on the brainstorm phase. I'm just gonna group them for tip number 3. So you're gonna first try to think about the pose not post. Oh crap, I made a mistake. Let me correct that. Think about the pose of your character and their attitude, and how you can use the pose to convey a message. Are they aggressive, shy, and how an event in their past could have impacted on their posture. Think about body language, and don't fear to use stereotype to get an effective and clear message real quick, like a puffed chest for someone super proud of themselves. Also, be original with the point of view of the camera. I'll go back to this later. And establish a priority. Like I said, clarity is your best ally when fighting with visual representation, so you need to pick up what's important about your character, their companion, and the setting to make it as readable and understandable as possible. Maybe you really want that bunch of stuff you designed for them, but it serves no purpose, so it's gonna clutter the illustration. So, like I said, kill your darling and get rid of it. So, I'm gonna go back to the point 3.2, finding the right pov. So, for that part, you're gonna be an explorer, well, a visual explorer, and walk a visual camera around. At least that's what they told me during my workshop. Like, if you can imagine the whole setting 3D in your head, good, you go, dude. But sometimes it's really hard to have it all figured in your head, and honestly, I found it can be really daunting to have to put it down on paper, because yeah, it never looks as good as we imagining it. But yeah, it doesn't mean you cannot try. Daydreaming can be super useful for both writing and drawing. So yeah, try it. Yeah, Chaos, I just see your comment. Yeah, but yeah, it's similar to writing. You control your camera with this description, and here that's the same. And here the point of view and the camera is super useful to convey mood. It's gonna be yeah, I'm gonna show you right now with my example. So this is my really bad picture. I'm sorry about this, but it's the ugly scribbles I did during the workshop. I had to figure out how to organize the scene, and like a naive A4 user, I didn't know what to do with all that freaking horizontal space, so I just put my character in the middle. I had drawn a full outfit for her. She has super awesome boots, so I really wanted to use those boots on the illustration. And yeah, so I just put my character in the middle, so I'm just gonna add a layer so you can see what I'm talking about. But yeah, you have my character here. Here you have my character standing. You have her companion, which is a swan, and the landscape. So, yeah, what you're gonna know about, yeah, boots. What you're gonna know about that character, it's the main antagonist of my fantasy story. She's a broken, sort of fallen god. She has been robbed from her powers, humiliated in some ways, and she had swore that she would never let someone be more powerful than her, so she won't have to be vulnerable again. So, I put her in caves, and they have a double meaning. First, it's sneaky yet sturdy way she operates from underground in darkness, but caves are solid most of the time. They're sort of shelters when you think of mountains, etc. And the second meaning is directly linked to my world, where there's a special cave with magical rocks, and she uses those rocks to harness power. As for the swan, yeah, guys, I see you see the swan. Well, it's not really the point of this workshop, but yeah, the idea is I really hate swans. I don't think they're good looking. I think they're sneaky, mean creature. They're not as gracious as they appear. I mean, did you ever see a swan flying? It's just ridiculous. But yeah, they're white, but to me they're just evil. So I know that traditionally I think they're associated with light, death, and seduction, which is perfectly fitting for my character. Her name is Lurian, by the way, so if you hear Lurian, it's her that I'm talking about during this workshop. So, moving on. Okay, as you can see, my first try is, yeah, I tried. It's not bad, it's just sort of flat. It's just like, here my character, here my swan, here a cave, you! Yeah, doesn't tell much of a story except like a swan and a evil lady walk in a cave, the swan sings, and boom, they're dead. But yeah, it didn't stop me. I didn't have much choice anyway, so yeah, I had to keep trying. See, this example serves a double purpose: to show you how to use the CinemaScope, which is the goal of this workshop, and to show that you can learn so much from your mistakes and the not so good drawings. Because yeah, damn, I learned a lot from that. So, the next slide are me trying to work on some thumbnails with composition, trying to work my way into the CinemaScope format. And I scribble, and boom, change of point of view, ta-da, much better. I can't really tell you what led me to this perspective, but yeah, it's really experiment. So I'm just gonna tell you why, in my opinion, those sketches works better than the previous one. First, it puts more more importance on the character. She's bigger, sort of. We're gonna see her better. And yeah, I had to sacrifice the amazing boots and details I put beneath her waist, but yeah, she's way more enhanced here. There's a slight foreshortening perspective, like the angle of the point of view slightly from beneath, so she looks down at us, so it's more dramatic, it's more fitting to who she is, and the overall scene has more character. And yeah, I mean, I hate to draw background, so at least here half the page is filled with characters. Okay, I know it's not a good reason, but yeah, it's sort of a good reason, because we're still mostly focused on telling the character story with the settings. So yeah. So yeah, I'll just change the pose, the orientation of both characters from this example to this example here. You can see that she doesn't look the same way. I just wanted to swap sides, because I always draw characters facing the left side. So I just wanted to challenge myself and draw her facing the right side. And just I ended up choosing the one where she touches the swan, rather than the other one with the flame thingy. You cannot really tell on the drawing because it's crappy thumbnails, tiny, but she has a flame. So I chose the swan design because it created interaction between the two, between the Lurian and the swan. It makes the swan more than just some piece of furniture standing in the background. So, this is leading me to tip number 4, which is the art of thumbnailing. And yeah, thumbnailing is really important, because you don't want to go straight into your first idea, especially if you work with traditional medium, because the waste of good paper is real. It can be daunting too, so really thumbnailing is the art of drawing tiny messy sketches that no one but you understand, but that help you explore various possibilities. So yeah, that's what I did for the you'll have more examples later in the workshop, but that's what I did with the previous slide. This is where you can really experiment with the composition, because what the hell is composition anyway, and just like experiment. And it's tiny, you don't risk anything, no one is gonna see them, so really get messy. Okay, tip number 4, if I correct. It's the types of contrast. I'm gonna go back to the picture I show you, but I'm just gonna talk about how to use different type of contrast to create depth and make your piece visually interesting while keeping it balanced and clear. First type of contrast is the contrast of shape. I feel it's the most important contrast since you can use it only with lines when you start your piece. So in my opinion, my artwork lacks some good contrast of shape, and that's okay. You don't need to hit all the spots in the checklist, but just be aware that contrast of shape are a thing, and it's a tool that is really helpful. And just some example from Pengzhu Design School. There are students did some studies, and there's already some work on shadows and light, but you can see on this one there's a really good use of the shapes. You have the really pointy, oopsie delay, pointy boats, and the other scene is pretty round, and it gives a really good perspective. And yeah, this one is really good, I think. Another one, you can see there's square and a round shape, some more aggressive triangular, while the tree is still really round. Yeah, gondolas. On the previous, oops, I'm getting a little ahead. So going back to the type of contrast, the next type is and for the contrast of shape, remember that what shape generally means. Round is soft and nice and cute. Triangle, square is sturdy, stable, stubborn, and triangle is dynamic and more aggressive. And yeah, Tess, yeah, it's another contrast of shape, the geometric versus organic. I just saw your comments, it's delete, but yeah, this is a really good comment, Tess. Geometric versus organic. So yeah, round shape are more organic, generally speaking. Yeah, no, the arcs are round too, but the geometric, they're more messy. Organic are more messy. Anyway, next next contrast is the contrast of value. So on the picture I showed you and mine, you can see some work on the contrast of value. For me, it's working on value is, before jumping into the daunting world of color, is the most important, because you're working with only one color, and you can learn how to make things pop with only using value. So, what is value? value, sometimes it's called tone. It's how light and dark a color is. Basically, it's the amount of black added to a color. So here's a neat example of hue versus saturation. And if you're working on digital, you can it should look like this. So and if you're a traditional artist, well, you're just gonna hijack your way through this and improvise. But yeah, with value, you can put things forward and backwards, like placing a darker shade underneath an object will make the object pop. It's a pretty simple concept. So here are some of my tries. Where are they? There. Some of my tries for the contrast of a value. They're super tiny. I think it's the teacher who did there for me. But yeah, this one had to be white. So that at least make Lorian pop. So she's got to be rather dark. And then I have to decide with the rocky formation here and the background, which one is gonna be dark and which one is gonna be light. It would have made sense to have the cave behind darker, and I feel like maybe the top one works better than the bottom one. So there are other examples. I'll put the links in the description box below. Oh god, I always dream to say this, but yeah, I put links to where I stole the picture. But this one is pretty detailed, but there are more complex value work, and I highly suggest you look at those kind of grayscale concept art and try to do your own. I should do the same, by the way, but yeah, do like I say, not like I do. So here are some examples of really good work of studies of value. I'm just letting you. I'll wait for questions, and I'll just leave some of this swapping between them so you can have a good look. This one is really good, I think. Okay, so moving on to tip number 6, which is using color to create mood. I'm unfortunately not experienced in the matter of color, so I just can tell you that yes, like in character design, colors have a meaning and various combinations can convey various meaning and ambience for an artwork. The study I'm gonna share with you is a really good example. It's from a student from an online course, and even if there are slight differences in the details of the picture, you can perceive or feel really the different mood in a glance. From afar, it really pops, and you really have like really good mood between. Yeah, happiness is bright, super saturated color. It's almost violent. I think like it's almost too busy. It's all hyped. I like the hope, like the first plan of view is dark and gray, and there's this light shining in the background, so you're really hopeful. Passion is really warm tones. It's kind of misty, blurry, and yeah, magic is just out of this world. And I like how they choose to use snow and winter to depict peacefulness, because like it's a really quiet quiet mood and quiet time of the year. The nature is sleeping, and yeah, snow. Usually, I mean, yeah, that's the blizzard, but usually snow falls slowly, and yeah, it's yeah. John, yeah, blizzard is not winter is not peaceful, but yeah. And I like how they convey different between depression and abandonment. Depression is more blurry than abandonment. So yeah, I really like the difference between the two. So yeah, well, when you're working with color, you have to be careful with it, especially when you're new to it. I already said that in the character design workshop, but I'm just gonna repeat myself because it can quickly become ugly if you overdo your color palette. So don't pick every possible colors from your palette just because you can do it, okay? For traditional artists, it's easier because more color means money, so you don't really necessarily have all that money, but I'm just gonna pop in the handy color wheel thingy I shared in my previous workshop to help you use and choose the colors as a guide to get you started. And once you've built up some experience, you're gonna know what works, what doesn't work, and you can slowly add various colors to your artwork. So technically you've already decided for a color scheme for your character, so you can use this as a base and try to work on that from here. Okay, so now I'm gonna talk about how to choose the elements that create the natural habitat for your character. So for you have to think about your character, obviously. What is their story? How is the world they come from? What part of this world or is relevant to your character's history? And yeah, think about your settings and what makes it unique. And what are the common visual clue of your setting, like modern era, think car, personal tech, coffee, sci-fi, maybe laser guns, holograms, sleek metals. You get the idea. Use the archetype and work on it, twist it, chew it, make it your own. If your sci-fi is a little dystopian, yeah, then add rust to the metals, hologram, of faded colors, blurry, doesn't work quite well. Don't use bright, vivid colors. You see, like you see in cyberpunk illustration. But yeah. Also, when you're developing your setting, you can think about those points when you develop the aesthetic of the world. So is your world dystopian or utopian? So dystopian is all in ruin, well, utopian is thriving. Is it old or new? Like I said, for the sci-fi, old will be more rusty, they're gonna be scratched, it's gonna be more maybe dark. But if it's a utopian old world, you're gonna have some cracked zone, but they're still gonna have like a bright color scheme. So which leads to a dark or bright. So like my character is rather dark, Lorian, so I put her in a cave where it's rather dark. I didn't put her under a thriving tree with blossoming pink lilies or whatever. Also, is it saturated or not? Like, saturated is really, really bright and violent. Is it grand or small? So, is it like a majestic castle or a humble cottage? Notice that you can swap those and have a majestic cottage and then humble castle. This is gonna impact on how you're gonna draw the humble castle compared to the majestic cottage. think about the shapes. Maybe majestic, you can figure something that is more messy with more aggressive shapes, where humble is more soft and it melts with the background, blends with the background. Also, what makes it unique, if you created some sort of weird DOS weapon or thing, or you have a particular shape associated with the people, like, I don't know, big windows with stained glasses, I don't know. Yeah, maybe think about putting this in the setting. And also, how is your character related to this setting? So yeah, I'm gonna go back to my example because I'm an artist and I'm egocentric, but like Lorian has a business with the magic in the cave, so rather than putting her in a weapon shop, which she could because she's a warrior, and I placed her in the cave. Yeah, because it for the mood it was the best in my opinion, and it was, yeah, it really served a purpose for the story and all that jazz. I'm gonna go with the composition. A few words about composition because, yeah, composition. Damn. It's I think it's the first thing you hear when talking about creating art, composition. Yeah, it's basically how you divide your canvas into non-equal parts, blah blah blah. It creates 4 points of intersection that helps you place things in the canvas. But yeah, you want my brutal opinion on that? If you're a good artist, you don't need those. I'm sorry. Yeah, I trust your gut. I mean, if it doesn't feel right, the composition is off. So I just move things around, and it will start to look good. And it's why thumbnails are really really useful. Draw tiny to place the objects and people, like I showed you on the previous slide, and you'll know how to place stuff. I didn't think when I for the those, I didn't really think about the composition. I didn't break it apart. I did break it up into the section after to transfer the sketch onto bigger paper. But while I was drawing, I just draw the format of the CinemaScope thingy, and I just thumbnail and draw my character into it to make it work. So really, the composition is about trusting your gut and feeling your way through your drawing. You can use it. It's not bad, but I just don't know how to make it work. Like, for me, composition must be organic rather than fitting into strict points on the paper. It's useful. I mean, when you see the example on the screen, it's useful to keep a balance and think about but yeah, I'm pretty sure that you can come up with what is drawn on the page without having to think about dividing your pages into sections. So yeah, keep it balanced. Like, if your lower left corner is super busy with a good chunk of design, try to balance it out on the upper right corner. Like, yeah, basically the opposite one. But really, if you don't plan it, I'm pretty sure you're gonna notice it, and you'll add something on your own instincts. So this is just like a demo of how you can make composition work. So we're reaching the end. So I'm gonna wait a little for if you have questions. I have planned some practice if you're still up for it. For the practice, ideally like each of you to take one of your character with a companion or two of your character and draw a bunch of thumbnails in the CinemaScope format. You don't have to do it now if you're not feeling like it. You can maybe work on this later and post it in the chat in the server. Whoopsie, sorry. But yeah, I don't know if you want to stay up and I keep streaming, drawing. I'm just waiting for your questions and what you want to do. If you're too tired to draw, we can wrap it up and go back to it later. Otherwise, we can go back to the server and draw together, but I feel like all of you are pretty tired and you deserve to sleep, so... Sorry, oops, okay. Yeah, John, you if you don't have color pencil, yeah, yeah, mess with value. And for the mood, think about the perspective, the point of view, like I did with my with Lorian. Think about how you can place the camera to add some drama. Some drama will be from below. If you want something really honest, brutal, put it straight in front, and yeah, try to and with value. Think about something that is really with hard edge, so more contrast will be more violent, more bright. So yeah, I'll show you the studies. Those are pretty dramatic. All are pretty dramatic, so I don't think they're a good example. But for example, this one, the one in the I'm so bad with left and right, but here, left, bottom left, you can have this magical feeling, in my opinion, like you had with this one here. So they're pretty similar. And this one looks more peaceful. So yeah, think about shapes and values if you only have pencil. Okay. So I think we're all tired. So maybe we can wrap it up and eventually the one that feel up to it can draw a little and share in the chat. Yeah, I don't know how to do it in French neither, John. Gauche et droite, pour moi, it's the same. I don't know. Learning to drive was a mess. Okay, so thank you for joining. Thank you for waiting for me and for your patience about this crappy, messy start. I will see you in the server, and yeah, I'm glad we made it work. I'm so happy we have finally able to make a live stream. Okay.